everything down y'all's brains just in one training. We might want to break this up. But this forms is all about if you ever need to collect information from your members, you would use a form. If you ever need to invoice your members, like if they're going to register for an event and you need an invoice created, you would use a form. So forms can be used for all different types of things like your membership application, an event registration, sponsorship, partnership, anything where you're collecting information from people. So the only place we can access our forms, makes it really simple, is going to be using this Forms tab at the very top and then going to Form List. So this is the only place we can access our forms. Now, from our form list, this is where we would find any forms that have been created in the system. When you get ready to create a new form, we're just going to select Create Form, this big green button up here in the top left-hand corner. I'm going to do that now, and we'll name our form. So, for example, your membership application. This is definitely a form that I think you guys are going to want in here. If your members aren't paying dues in MemberClicks because you're doing that somewhere else, then traditionally that means that they wouldn't take a membership application in MemberClicks because that would really be invoicing them in MemberClicks. It sounds like they need to be invoiced somewhere else. So, so I'm not 100% if we're going to want a membership application in MemberClicks or not. I'm going to go ahead and just set this kind of up as an example to show you guys just the process of creating forms. I think event registrations would be something that you really want.
That as well.
Okay, perfect. So we've named our form. Now, one thing to note about naming our form here is this is just an internal name. So what that means is nobody else is going to see this name except for you guys. So you can name this whatever helps you understand what this form is being used for. The second step is checking what type of form are we creating. Our forms are by default created with different sections. By default, every form has a login section. Every form has a summary section where you can summarize the information that somebody provides as they're filling out the form. Every form is going to have a payment section, and every form will have a confirmation section. So every form is going to have login, summary, payment, confirmation. The body of our form is what can be different depending on what type of form we're creating. So the body of our form could be a membership application section. Of course, that would tell us that the form's being used for membership. The body of our form could be an event registration section. That, of course, would tell us that we're using our form for an event registration. The body of our form could be a general section. So one of three sections: membership, event, or general. A general section is what you would use for any other type of form that you might create in the system. Things like a survey. I see a lot of if you guys have voting where you vote board members in, you would use a general section for that. There's all different, really just anything you could think of, we would be using this section for that. Any questions so far?
Yeah. Let me see that. Where is your cursor right now? Okay, I see it. All right.
And when I got this pop up, I just clicked Create Form.
Right. Okay, got it.
So I just talked about the different sections that our form is comprised of, and then some application. Then I was talking about the different bodies our form could consist of. So in our case, we're using this form for membership. So I'm checking this form will be used for membership. Now, the reason that I just did that is because this will automatically bring in that membership section for us, so we don't have to. It's just going to bring it in the form for us. So I mentioned there could be an event section. If we were creating an event registration form, we would want to check this form will be used for event registrations. And what that means is that the form will automatically bring in the event section. Now, you do have the ability to check both of these sections. If you check both of these sections, it's going to bring in a membership section and an event section. So you could use a form for both. I see this oftentimes, like if your members have to have renewed before they can register for an event that you're putting on, you could do this, and this would bring up like a renewal section. Now, you guys are going to be doing renewals in MemberClick, so that doesn't make sense for you guys, but just to show you other examples that I've seen. If you are creating any other type of form where there needs to be a general section, you would just check neither of these boxes.
Okay.
So right now I'm going to check membership. Any questions?
I was going to say, when it's just a general form, we still have to give the form a name, correct? And
Correct.
then do not check that, and then a general form will come up.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. All right, well, I'm going to hit save. Now, once I click save, this is going to bring us into our form builder. But I don't want us to go into our form builder quite yet. I'm going to go back for just a moment. So now when we come to the form list, we're going to see a form row populated. That's the form that I just created, the membership application. There's a couple of other things I'm going to point out to you guys. You can change the status of your form. So by default, once you create a form, the form will be unpublished. You may want to publish the form, which means that people can take the form. If it's a form that you no longer need, you will want to archive the form. So, for example, 2017 conference. After the 2017 conference, you really don't need that anymore other than for historical value, so you can archive it. If you archive your forms and then you go, ooh, I really, kind of want to revisit that form I created last year, you can always select show archived forms, and that will show you the archived forms as well. Okay. A couple other things I want to point out here. We've got these 3 horizontal dots. If I click on those, it's going to allow me to copy the form. Something I want to point out here is if you delete a form, once a singular form submission is made, so the second somebody takes one of your forms, you can no longer delete it. The reason why is because the forms and your members' profiles can communicate. If I collected information through a form from your member and then deleted the form, I just accidentally deleted all of the information I just collected on them. Or that would have basically, we'd be mass deleting information. So we just don't allow you to do that. We just take away that delete button the second you've collected information on your members through a form. So we make it goof-proof. Okay.
So that way everything could just be copied.
Exactly. Exactly. So then the next piece is, if you guys create a lot of forms, a client who has a monthly luncheon every single month, you don't have to create the form from scratch every month. You can just copy your form. And you can just go in and make a couple of tweaks, but that saves you a lot of time. Okay. A couple other things. Take this form. Somebody may call you, let's say Bob calls you guys and says, hey, Ronnie, I really want to come to your event. I just don't have time to get online and register for it. Can you just register me over the phone? You can say, yeah, sure, Bob. I'm going to take this form for you. This is going to bring up your full database. You'll be able to select Bob's name or search Bob's name. Choose Bob and then proceed as Bob, and you are taking the form for Bob.
Okay. So taking this form is basically filling out a form for a member.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. And then clicking edit is going to bring us back into the form builder where we can actually start to build our form. Before I click edit, what questions do you guys have for me on this piece? Anything so far?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I'm good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and select Edit, and this is going to bring us in our form builder. Form is comprised of a left-hand column and a right-hand column. The right-hand column over here is what I like to refer to as just our rough draft.
I'm sorry, say that again, Adrienne. You broke up a little bit. I just heard the last. Okay, go ahead.
We've got a left-hand column, which we're going to review in just a moment, and then you've got a right-hand column.
Okay.
The right-hand column is really just a rough draft. So it's exactly what your form is going to look like on the front end. The only difference is it's just not pretty. It's not in your template. It's just in the raw. So it's exactly how the form's going to look. I'm going to go ahead and review. I talked about the different sections that are going to be in every form. I'm going to go ahead and review those sections with you. So we have things like a login section. I mentioned a login section will be in every form. This will either allow your existing users to log in to take a form, or new users to create a login, which will then create a prospect profile for them. Now, very important because this is what recognizes the member and saves their submission in their profile. It's also what allows the information that you collect through the form to be stored in your member's profile. It is also what allows invoices to be designated or assigned to your members' profiles. So you really always want to keep this login section on.
Okay.
One thing that I want to go ahead and point out, if I click properties, so you'll see this properties button a good bit. If I click the login section, anytime I do this, it's going to give me over here on the left-hand side customizations I can make to this section. What can I change about this whole section? I can change the name. So I mentioned in the beginning, when you wrote membership application, when we created this form, that's not what your members see, that's internal. The names that your members will see as they navigate through the forms is the name on the tabs at the beginning of every section. So they're going to see on their screen, login. That may not make sense to your members. You may need to give them better instructions. So you may need to say, log in to take our membership application. This may make more sense to them. And you'll notice it's going to update on my tab. So this is what they would see once they go into the form. You'll also notice that you can turn the login section off. So you don't have to have the login section, but remember everything I talked about a moment ago. And if you turn off the login section, all of your forms will just be submitted anonymously. There will be no name tied to it. Nothing will be stored in your member's profile. So the only time you would really want to turn off the login section is if you were maybe sending out a survey to see what people thought of your convention. You don't necessarily care who's taking that survey. You just really want to know the feedback on the convention. So you could turn the login section off for that. Does that make sense?
You turn the login section off for surveys.
Yeah, that's just an example. Really, though, the main thing I want you to take away from this is keep the login section on.
Right. Yeah, don't touch the login section.
Right.
Exactly.
Have it in BQ letters, okay.
Exactly. Now, you can change your login type. So let's say that you guys have an event and only existing users can come to the event. Then what you can do is say, well, only existing users should be able to take this form. See, now it got rid of the new users section. So only existing users can log in. You can do that vice versa. Only a new user section. So the membership, and nobody that's already a member should be coming in here and taking a membership application. Okay. Or we can leave it at all users. The last item that we have down here is multiple submissions. So right now, with this toggle off, your members can't submit multiple submissions of this form. So what may happen is if I register for an event, and then I may go, did I I registered for that event, I just can't remember. I may come in here and try to take the form again. If this toggle is off, the form will say, you've already submitted this form, you do not have access to take it again. If you turn on, meaning you're allowing multiple submissions, I would be able to submit multiple submissions into the form. Any questions on that?
Nope, not for me.
None for me.
All right, awesome. Well, that is everything in the login section. Let's keep moving. The next section is the membership application. This is the body of our form. This is where we're going to be asking all of our questions of your members. Just like the login section, it has a properties button. If I click on to see the properties, it lets me change the name. So maybe membership doesn't make sense. Maybe I need to say membership application. Once again, that's going to populate on my tab. So this would be the next heading that I would see as we navigate through our form. Enable membership section. Yes, we do want to turn on the membership section. Otherwise, we wouldn't be using this as a membership application. Require membership section when available to the user. Yes, we do want to require this because otherwise they can submit a blank form. You're going to see this button in just about every form that you create. It'll allow them to just submit the form without completing any of the fields in it. We want to require this application.
Okay.
Display application for new users and prospects. Yes, we do want to do that because those are the people that are going to be taking this form as a new member, right? The last item, display renewal area. So what this last toggle is doing is telling us that this form not only could be used for new members as a new member application, but it could also be used for renewals. Now, and there's a little bit here that kind of explains that. Your members, you guys aren't, you know what, you guys aren't using us for renewals, so I'm not even going to go into that because it would just be more confusing than anything, and it's not something you even need to know. So we don't even have to worry about this.
Okay. So we can turn that off?
Yeah, we can leave that turned off. One thing that you guys will kind of need to think about is, do we want people taking membership applications and member clicks, or do we just not want this available, you know, a membership application available at all? So that's something that I would kind of think about. Or do you have it available through your other third party they're using that they're paying fees in?
No, no, they submit the applications to the office. They fill them out in the office.
So you don't want to put this online?
No.
Okay. So we won't even worry about that. Now I'm going to show you how to bring in different fields into our form in just a moment. Actually, let's back up and, yeah, I'm going to show you how to bring fields into the form in just a moment. Every other type of form, like event forms, will basically be the same thing. Just bringing, so yeah, this is fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and move to the next section and not spend too much more time talking on this, since you won't really be using specific membership application sections. The next section is the summary section. This is just allowing them to summarize the fields out. So once again, I'm clicking properties, turning on the summary section, and then we can edit the summary. So what that means is that you get to determine, you get to pick and choose which fields they're going to be reviewing before they submit the form. So if I'm registering for an event, I'm going to go ahead and, so if I'm registering for an event, what fields do you want me to review before I submit the form? It's just a little summary section. Most forms, you guys, I'm sure, have seen a summary section before. The payment section, so I'm going to click properties for payment. It is a million times important that you guys make sure you set this payment section up, because this is what determines where your money's going. This is what determines the invoice template that you're going to be using. So we talked about invoice template a good bit. This is what, and I know Tarsha, you did this. And this is what we're deciding, when they take this form, do they only have the option to pay right then with their credit card? Or could they be invoiced, meaning they would submit the form and open invoice would be created that they could come back and pay at a later date?
Mm-hmm.
And then the last item here is in the invoice templates. When you created that invoice template, Tarsha, it also asked you for a due date on the invoice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would have told you that 30 days was most typical. This is allowing you to override that due date. So let's say that you guys have a huge convention and it's in December, and you let people start registering right now. Their invoice doesn't necessarily have to be due in the next 30 days because we are months away from that December example convention. So what you could do is say, okay, well, the invoice really isn't due until like mid-November. And this would override, meaning that it would become the due date on the invoice, not the net due date that you set in the invoice template.
Got you.
Okay, any questions on that piece?
No.
Okay.
No, one that I do when you mention payment, and I wanted to speak to you first before I contacted Lauren, but does the Alliance have to use Moolah with the directory?
You do not. You can use Moolah or authorize.net.
Only those two. Okay.
Yeah, one thing or two other things that I want to mention here. If you are never going to collect money through MemberClick, then you don't have to set either one up. So if you're never going to make your members event or have them pay in MemberClick for an event, you don't technically have to have it since you're not going to be doing renewals. The other thing that I wanted to mention is if you use Moolah, that's our preferred partner, you get a $600 disc with MemberClick. Whereas if you use authorize.net, you do not get that discount.
But you said a $600 discount?
Correct.
For paying for the system?
Correct.
I mean, for paying for the directory?
Correct.
Okay.
But if you don't need a payment processor, if you're never, that's another conversation that I would have if I was you guys is, will we ever be collecting money in MemberClick? If you're never going to collect money, you really don't need a payment processor. No reason to be paying payment processor fees, right?
Right.
But and what I have some clients do is they'll say, well, if we have an event, maybe people have to pay $25 to come to the event. You may just have them submit a check. It may not be worth it to you to give them the ability to pay online. It may be cheaper for you guys as an association to just let them send in checks. And you do that. We can do offline payments, meaning an invoice is created and it'll say, please send your check to so-and-so. And then you can add a payment processor in later. That's just some conversations that you guys might want to have internally.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
That is. Okay. Never mind. My mind is starting to go, so we got to keep moving. No.
Yeah, did you have another question you wanted to talk about really quick?
Actually, it was a number of things just started coming. Some brainstorming that I need to do, and then I need to bounce some things off of Tarsha, and then we can bring it to you. So it'll make more sense that way.
That works. That works perfectly. Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right. So then the last section that we have built into all of our forms is the confirmation section. Now, once I take the form and I hit submit, this is going to pop up on my screen. Thank you. Your form has been submitted successfully. Now, you guys may want to change this verbiage. If I click on this field, and you'll start to notice any field that you want to change in the form, just click on it. And it's going to show you over here what you can do to this field. In this case, the only thing I can do is edit the confirmation page.
Okay.
This will allow us to put in more verbiage. Maybe we look forward to seeing you at our 2018 convention. We look forward, I forgot we're in the year 2018. I've been saying 2017.
It's almost April. How insane is it?
I know.
Okay.
It's crazy. It's insane. It's crazy. So you can put fields or put verbiage, I should say, in here more specific to you guys, to your association, if you want it to be a little bit warmer. Now this is cool, but the really cool thing is we click the properties button for the confirmation section. This allows us to send our members a confirmation email. So not only would they say, would they see on the screen, thank you for registering, we look forward to seeing you soon, they'd also receive an email. We would just need to turn the email on and edit the confirmation email. I think this is so cool because we can use merge data fields down here. So from their form, we can merge in information from the form that they submitted. So we could merge in things like their submission date, their submission amount, their in number, their total, also their first name, last name, and then any additional fields we add to the form, we can data merge in here as well. So now, by using these merge data fields, we can really use this email as a receipt. So this is email directly to your member and act as a receipt. Now, not only is this great to act as a receipt for your member, but you can also BCC yourself on these. So one copy is going to go to your member, one copy is going to go to you. That way, you guys don't have to come into MemberClicks every day and say, oh, you know, how many people have registered for the event? Has anybody registered today? How many people registered yesterday? You're just getting these notifications directly to your email. So you're not having to go look for this information in MemberClicks. And you guys
can I'm sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead, Adrienne.
I was just saying, and you can BCC up to 10 of you could be receiving copies of these.
And it keeps, and we can basically check and see a report on how many people registered and that sort of thing?
You do have the ability to look at a report. That's going to be a little bit of a different area, which I'll show you probably on our next call. This is really just act as a receipt for your member and a notification for you guys.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on the confirmation section?
No, I like that. That's great.
Awesome. All right, so at this point, we've been through all of the sections of our form. So we totally understand everything over here on the right-hand side. Now let's go look at the left-hand side for a second. So every time I've clicked properties or a specific field that I want to change on my form, options come up under this element properties tab, the things that we can customize about a specific section or a specific field on our form. So element properties tab is anything we can do specific to a specific section or a specific field. Then we form settings. This is our first tab on the far left. Form settings, anything you do under form settings affects the entire form. So element properties, what I can do for a specific section or field. Form settings will affect the entire form. Things like the form name, the form description, which you guys can add in a form description. This is also internal. The form alias. The alias is what creates the URL to take your members directly to this link. So if you went to nmsba.memberclicks.net/membership-application, that would be the link to this form. You're going to be seeing this again when we talk about content.
Okay.
Whether the form is published or archived, we get to set here. You enable an expiration date, meaning that's a cutoff date. Nobody can take the form once the expiration date has come and passed. Group permissions is who gets to see this form. Can anybody see it, or are you limiting permissions? Maybe only some of your member types get to see this form. In that case, you would uncheck any of those groups that you don't want to be able to see the form. The last couple of items, date-based pricing. So this date-based pricing and discount codes you would not use for a membership application. These would just be for event registration forms. Date-based pricing allows you to say, okay, if you register between now and the end of the month, you get an early bird rate. If you register between the beginning of November and the end of December, you have a late fee, an additional late fee you have to pay. So this is all about, depending on the date, how much they're going to be charged for something. Discount codes is if you have an event and your sponsors are registering through your form, the sponsor may be able to come to the event really for a different rate. If you gave them a discount code, they could type in that discount code, and it's going to give them a discount on their rate for the event. So date-based pricing and discount codes, I'm not really going to be able to show you how these work today because we don't have a specific example, but I want you to just remember that MemberClicks can do this. And if you guys need to ever set this up, you can contact me or the help team, and you'll say, I know Adrienne told me that you guys do day-based pricing. I just don't remember where it is. I can't remember how to set it up. Can you guys walk me through that? And they'll definitely do that for you.
Okay.
So the item that we have down here, forward URL. So your members, once your members take the form and they submit the form, by default, they're going to go back to the home page of your website. If you would really rather them be navigated to a page of more information or just a different page together, any URL that you put in down here at the bottom will redirect them once they submit the form to whatever URL you put in here. Once again, to reiterate, if you want them to go back to the home page of your site, you're just going to leave this empty. Any questions on these form settings?
No, and we're recording this one as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Training as well.
I know this is a
no questions from me.
This is the most training, the most information that you guys will get in the training. So I know it's a lot. Y'all are doing well. You'll have this recording for sure.
Okay.
All right.
Speaking of recordings, if I could just ask you really quickly, the one that we did with Sarah that's on YouTube.
The demo.
Yeah, the demo. Is it possible to have that removed from YouTube?
It's on a private channel, so it's not something that anybody could access unless you have the direct link to it.
Okay, got you. Okay, then.
Yeah.
That answers that question for me. Okay, so thanks.
Yeah, all of our recordings are on my YouTube channel as well, but same thing, they're all private, so unless somebody has a specific link, it can't be viewed. So we make sure that you guys are kept secure.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. All right, awesome. So at this point, we've gone through, okay, if we click on just a field or the properties per section, that's taking us over here on the left-hand side, what we can customize about that specific field or section. Then we talked about form settings. Anything we do under form settings, this is affecting the entire form, whatever we do under form settings. The last tab that we have not reviewed yet is this middle tab, Add Form Elements. Now, this is how we're going to build out our form. This is how we're going to ask questions. So if you think back to our database training, we've talked about the different types of attributes that we have in the system. We have built-in attributes and custom attributes. Both of these are attributes that we've talked about in this system before. Anytime you use a built-in or custom attribute on our form, it's going to take that information somebody fills out and store it in their profile. So if I scroll down into the membership application section or whatever body of the form that we're using, it could be and let's say, okay, down here we're asking for individual name. We also maybe want to ask for their email. In order to bring this into the form, all we have to do is the field that we want to include and drag into the form. Notice that the form is going to turn green where we can add this field. The second that we add the field to the form, we're brought to element properties, which we know are things we can customize about this particular field. So we may want to make this required. If we use our drop down here, right now it's available, we can make this drop down and say it's required. That'll bring up a little red asterisk. We could also delete or edit group permissions, meaning who's going to see this particular field. So once again, to add form elements, we're adding a form element. We're grabbing the field that we want to bring in. So let's ask for the phone number, and we're dragging to the space that we want it to populate. And there it is. Any questions on this?
This is fascinating. I mean, that's not a question. I'm just saying.
What'd you say?
No, I said this is fascinating. And then I said that's not a question, but I just thought I'd throw it in there.
Well, I'm glad that you find it fascinating. I love our forms. They are so powerful, but once again, just very robust. So that's why I've kind of slowed it down a little bit today, and I'm seeing things repetitively because it's just a lot to take in. Okay. Custom attributes. We've talked about custom attributes. Those are the fields that were custom to you guys that you're collecting on your members, that MemberClick wouldn't have known you're collecting on your members. So if you want to ask for the gender, once again, we're just grabbing and we can make it required. We may want to change the name of this. Instead of label, we may want to say, how do you identify yourself? So we can make an actual sentence. We can change the label. Add form elements, custom. Who are you invited by? We wouldn't want to just say invited by. We may want to say, who were you invited by? Now you'll notice there's an export name as well. You guys will have the ability to export these fields into an Excel spreadsheet, like all of your registrants. And so the export name is going to be the column header for that column of information. So if you know what invited by means, you can leave it as invited by. If you don't know what that means, you may want to copy over the sentence that you created. Once again, we'll always have that required option. You'll know it's required because you'll see a little red asterisk.
Okay.
Interest, grabbing and dragging interest, which I know we're still building out this list. ID number, grabbing and dragging. So those are built-in and custom attributes. And just to reiterate, anytime you use a custom or built-in attribute, it's going to be collecting the information from the member's form that they're filling out and storing it in the member's profile.
Okay.
Then we have form fields. Form fields would only be used if you don't want to store this information in your member's profile. So these are not pieces of information that you would ever need again, except for the form submission. It's only being stored in the form submission. So we've got some different options here. Country is just a drop down of all the different countries. So you may say, what country would you like, would you like the 2018 conference to be held in? That's wishful thinking, but just as a silly example, we wouldn't need to know that in 2018, Bob wanted to have the conference in Italy.
Jamaica.
We don't need to know that forever. We would just need to know that for that mission.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So date, you could say, like, what date would you like to have our conference? Once again, we don't need to know that forever. We just need to know it for the form submission. So we're using form field. File is going to allow your members to upload a file. So you could say, please upload your logo, or please upload your headshot, please upload your resume. You can also have them upload an image. That would really be more like headshot or logo. I'm going to come back to number and selection set in a moment. State is just the drop down of all the states, just like country, but with states. A text box is just a blank text box where they can type in whatever they want. So you could make this, do you have any dietary restrictions? That's something that you guys may need to know on your members if you're having a luncheon or something. Once again, we're always wanting to update that export name, because if we export all of this information into an Excel spreadsheet, we need to know what this information is.
Okay.
All right, there are two items that I passed by I want to come back to, number and selection set. These guys are special because they can be monetary fields. So number is only a number, no special characters, no spaces. But this could be how many tickets do you need for the conference? So once again, always bringing this into our export name. So we can make it required. We're going to use the element, but here's this magical little price field. So they could say, okay, we want 5 tickets. Now you can charge them for those tickets just by turning on the price field. We say each price per unit, maybe each ticket, is $125. You'll notice this is going to populate on the right-hand side. So if they say they need 5 tickets, it's going to say 5 times 125, and it'll create that line item on the invoice for 125 times 5. It'll include the total amount on the invoice. So this is invoicing your member. The second way that we can use this field is by doing a currency input. So we have a number input, which is going to do price per unit. Then we have a currency input, which is going to allow them to put in however much money they want to. I most commonly see this as how much would you like to donate? So this would just be like a donation.
Okay.
Now, anytime you have a monetary field on a form, you're always going to have this button, Edit Payment Processor and Revenue Account. It is crucial that you guys fill this out. This is where you select where you want your money to go, what revenue account, and how you want the invoice line item to read. Do you want the line item on your invoice to say how many tickets do you need, or would you just want it to say ticket total? Because this is going to be the line item on the invoice. So this is one kind of magical field where we can use this to charge your members. The other, I'm going to go back to add form elements, and it is selection set. So selection set is going to give them different options to choose from. It could be what lunch option would you like? We can make this required, and we can make this a price field. So we can charge them for the different options, for the different lunch options that are available. By turning on the price field, add selections, option limits, and base prices, what that means is we could say maybe they want a ham sandwich. Maybe they could have a turkey, or they could have a salad. We've got money pieces, so we could say if they chose ham sandwich, it's $8. If they chose turkey, it's $8. If they chose a salad, it's going to be $10. And you can even apply limits. So your caterer may said, well, we only have enough ham to make 50 ham sandwiches. Once ham sandwich is chosen 50 times, it'll be grayed out and it won't be able to be selected again. Any questions on this?
None for me at this moment.
None for me.
One more magical thing that I want to point out here is you can also create member type pricing. So you guys are never going to remember all of these different fields. My suggestion to you is just starting at the top and working your way through every single thing. Okay, label. I know we talked about that. That's how it's going to be called or how it's going to be on the form. Export name. That's going to be in the Excel spreadsheet. Do I want it required? Do I want this on? Am I using this as a price? Excuse me, as a price field. So member type pricing. What you can do by selecting in our bar here, I can say, well, if somebody comes in here and comes to the luncheon as a prospect or part of the public, I'm going to add that column. They have to pay $12 for a ham sandwich. They have to pay $12 for a turkey sandwich. And they have to pay $15 for a salad. So if I'm a prospect or public taking this form, I will only see the price associated for prospects and the public members. Only people logged in as members to the form will see the base price. Okay. Now that's everything for form fields. So we've walked through these. So the big difference right now to keep in mind, built-in attributes and custom attributes will be collected from the form and stored in the member's profile. Form fields will be only collected on the form submission. The last item that we have are presentation items, and this is just how the form presents itself. So if we messed up in the beginning what event section that we wanted to select when creating this form, if we forgot to choose it was an event section, all we have to do is we can grab the event section here and drag it in. Or general section, if this was a general form, we would just grab the general section and drag it in. A couple other cool things. Horizontal line, literally just a horizontal line that you can use as a separator. Label. Label is the same thing as a text box. So if you needed to get direction, instructions, disclaimers, you can add in a label and edit the label text. You could say, disclaimer. Something like this. 30 days prior to the event, no refunds. Or instructions or whatever kind of item you wanted to use it for, whatever verbiage you wanted to put in here. Then you've got a page break. Page breaks are typically built into our forms. That just means that they're going to complete questions, hit next, and the page break will bring them to a new page. And then the last item that we have here is white space. Once again, just another separator. Just putting some separation in between fields. Okay. And that is everything for the training. We actually made it through the entire training, which is really good. I know you guys are going to have to go back and watch this recording, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording now. What questions